let's hear what Ethan had to say.
It's for the men to protect themselves and to protect the women. I'm saying you got to meet someone, get to know them a little bit, make sure that you're both sober and that you've got enthusiastic.
I mean, this take like almost attacks the concept of like casual sex or like hookups and shit like that, when in fact that can be done in a very fun way. I'm not anti casual sex. I'm not anti like hookup culture or anything like that. If you're famous though, no, even if you're famous, like it doesn't matter.
Consent. Because it's just not worth it. I don't think a lot of these guys doing this necessarily want to be hurting people, right? I think they get caught up in the moment. I think they probably have a lot of regrets about how they acted. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm assuming too much. I don't know, right? I don't know how these people feel or what they think about. But I do know that there's a lot of victims of women.
Am I crazy? Does Ethan kind of sound reactionary here? Like the conservatives who are like, what are the rules? Man, that's not a conservative take. Why are we like giving conservatives any kind of fucking grounds to make it seem like they have reasonable assessments here? Like not understanding consent is one thing, okay? But like literally you're talking about a conversation, like interpersonal communications between a man and a woman that are strangers to one another. That is an insanely complex situation, okay? Of course, there are so many different dynamics. Like, no, Ethan is not being reactionary when he says, what are the rules? Or conservatives aren't even fucking being reactionary when they say, what are the rules? There are obviously instances where, like, it's pretty obvious. When someone says no, that means fucking no, okay? That is a rule. That's, like, a pretty basic rule. Fair.
Who are in the wake of these famous men being traumatized, being abused, having lots of regret, being coerced. So what do we do about it? I mean, if you're a famous man coming up, you can't do it. I mean, it's too risky. I think the dynamic of you being famous and powerful and then being a fan and knowing who you are, it's too powerful of a combination. So, like, you can't exploit that. It sucks, right? It sucks because you can't go out there and be a rascal and fuck everyone. You know what I mean? But, which is like apparently the dream of men. That's why they become famous. I didn't know that. I mean, I know that there's like dudes out there, but I find that odd that like you become famous just for that. So it's just like, okay, bro, that's really it. That's all there is to life.
I think that's just young men.
You're not getting away with it. Take them out to dinner.
I think one of the things that happens so frequently for a lot of dudes is that like they're fucking weird nerds. Okay? The Aziz Ansari situation is perfect. It's a perfect example of this. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, when we look back at the Aziz Ansari situation, it's like, yeah, he's a fucking nerdy guy who doesn't know how to like read the room all that well. And he had a hookup that in his mind totally fucking seemed reasonable and valid and normal. Meanwhile, like on the other side, the person basically had doubts afterwards. Like was not all too happy with the interaction. Okay, like it's an instance of miscommunication, and I personally think that is an understandable boundary. The first Aziz situation before people jump on you. Wait, what? Are there other Aziz Ansari situations? I thought there was only one. What the fuck? No, the Aziz Ansari situation was that like this has happened every single fucking time, okay? Me Too was created as a movement because the actual like institutions of power were built by men oftentimes to basically violate whatever boundaries they other people would want to have. So because these institutions, including courts, including the police force, were not doing enough to like combat sex crimes, people took it to their own hands, okay, into the public square. And what happens when people take matters into their own hands? There's a pendulum swing, okay? And sometimes that pendulum swings to the fucking insane, completely opposite end of that spectrum. And it happens every time. There are always, if you look at it now, it's not like a rule or anything, okay? But usually what happens is like someone very reasonable and very valid is getting called out, okay? And, they'll even get criminal punishments, like in the case of Harvey Weinstein. Then a bunch of others come out, okay? And a lot of those are also valid. Almost all of them are valid. And then we get to the points where it's like, it moves into like the area of people being like, oh, we went on a date and like, we kissed, we made out, fucking, and at the time I thought it was fine, but like now I don't feel like it's okay. You can say it's a bad take all you want, but with Aziz Ansari, that's basically what happened, for the most part. Okay. And that was, in my mind, when that first happened, in my mind, it felt like it was a culture shift where it was like, this is the new rule. These are the new boundaries. And I think that's a valid fucking thing to ask for, okay? Demanding or expecting enthusiastic consent is understandable, okay? You aren't going to get on Aziz Ansari's podcast, bro? Does Aziz Ansari have a podcast? Does Aziz Ansari even have a fucking platform still? Like, what do you mean? Like, what is this? You think I have like alternative reasons as to why I'm making this assessment? Like, what are you, stupid? Anyway. The point is, are you talking about something before looking into it again? What? No. What is this smarmy fucking attitude from chat, dude? No. This is like an old story way back in the day that I covered. And I'm using this as an example to tell you how these things normally, like how the culture shift often happens. Dude, can you put a little bit more respect in the fucking chatting? Like, what's going on? You come in here and you're just like popping off? Like, what? Ay. You're not a real leftist? Okay, I'm just going to start banning people, I think. I mean, it's my fault. I did basically start this conversation like super early on in the day without like getting into other news or anything like that.
Get to know them a little bit. And then you got guys who travel around, right? Who go city to city. I don't know, man. Jerk off. I don't know. Just beat off, bro. Get some hotel porn.
Yeah, I don't think this is just about being horny. That's the difference. I think that it's like, I think men are taught from an early age to just like, be aggressive, go after what you want, shoot or shoot, that sort of thing. And like, there is validity to that statement, but I think like people don't know how to control themselves. People don't know how to conduct themselves in this situation, especially paired up with like rape culture, which used to be way worse in my opinion. And especially paired up with like a sense of entitlement that people have. I mean, there's so many different flavors of what I'm basically talking about, all the way to like brutal rape or what Harvey Weinstein did, for example, even though his dick was fucking literally mangled as a consequence of having gangrene on his penis. Like that was a power thing. That was control. Rape can sometimes be about just straight up control. It's not just like letting out your sexual desires. You know what I mean? And I think but when we think about like, when we think about other situations, other instances like some of the Andrew Callahan accusers and what he did in the way he conducted himself in some of those interactions, that in and of itself is not necessarily about power, but more so about constantly and consistently being reinforced by never facing a level of accountability, I think, and thinking that is like the modus operandi, the normal way to operate, the normal way to fucking behave. Maybe he realizes it's bad, but he still does it. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, because what matters is the trauma that you're inflicting on people.
I know it's expensive, but you're rich. Hell, even get a prostitute. Well, I think that's fine, right? I mean, at least you know what's going on there if you hire a prostitute. I don't know what the solution is, but what's happening right now is not working. It is not working. So I don't know if this was a crazy tweet. Is this a crazy thought or a sane thought? What do you guys think? Because I'm getting sick of seeing this happening. I'm getting sick of seeing people that I did respect.
Sex is also framed as a game in which men have to convince women to fuck them. So no means no, it means try harder in their minds, which is incredibly fucked. Yeah, another part of this reality, another part of this dynamic also revolves around the fact that like women are basically sheltered and pushed aside. And while objectification happens, it's never on women's terms. Like women are objectified, they're seen as objects of desire. But people don't even fucking think about or consider that they want to fuck too. Women are horny, okay? But unfortunately, from early on, women, for the most part, are taught that they are not supposed to fucking be horny, that they're not supposed to control. They're supposed to just, behave a certain way. And that paired along with like all the fucking shit experience, something that you hear all the time, like girls being like, oh, the moment that I fucking got my first period, I was already being hit on by like adult men who treated me like an adult woman. You know what I mean? Literally, like constantly fucking having to endure that in a society also pushes you, obviously will leave you having your guard up all the goddamn time. You're saying ew, dude, gross, but like, yeah, if you've ever talked to a woman, they will tell you that these are their experiences. This is something I've heard a million times over. So it's gross, it's weird, but it's true. So when you are growing up in a society that tells you like your sexual urges are wrong, that you shouldn't touch yourself, like the amount of women I've met that literally did not masturbate or ever use a sex toy until very late in their lives, until like full-blown adulthood, I'm talking like late 20s, is insane. Because when you're a guy, there's no such fucking boundaries, okay? From the moment that you fucking touch yourself, you're like, oh, this is fire. We're doing this all the goddamn time, okay? So that literally churns out an entire 50% of the fucking population that never get the adequate sex education that they deserve. So there's also that element to it where women are taught to be and socially conditioned to be sheltered, and then and cast away their sexual desires when they have them. Okay, like the purity concept, the virginity concept. This is like still it plays a fundamental role in society, in the way that we perceive women, which is yet another weird male gazed focused object of desire categorization. You're an object of desire. You're supposed to look a certain way. And also on top of that, you're supposed to maintain your purity. Like Muslim countries, man, what the fuck are you talking about like Muslim countries? You think this doesn't happen in America? What are you, fucking delusional? You think this doesn't happen in the Western world? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, it happens literally everywhere. It is a universal factor, okay? It is patriarchal regardless. So, anyway, so for that reason, there are instances where women might even like it's created this environment for men that are growing up where they think like, oh well, you know, I assume that this person is saying no because they're fearful of like what others will say about them. They're fearful that like others will say she's a slut or something. You know what I mean? Like that's another rationalization for men in their minds, okay? If you want to be as charitable as possible. And when you never really take into consideration that like the person might not just simply want it at that moment, might not be the right time, might not just find you to be attractive in that way, okay? You just do that and you hurt people along the way without even recognizing, and then you continue doing it over and over again. And I think this is, again, a product of our systems, our social conditioning. Okay? You think there are any moral merits to purity? No. I think that if you want to fucking not have sex, you shouldn't have to. But like, I don't give a shit. There is no, what moral merit is there to purity? What? I don't put any sort of moral value on people's choices as long as they are being done in an educated and consensual manner. What the fuck? So anyway, one thing that I've always described to people, is like for men specifically who, and I grew up at a time when like, I grew up in a time in a culture where like the consent conversation was at the forefront, even before the Me Too era, where people were like, "Oh, you should always ask for consent," and people considered that to be weird. Okay, people were like, "What the fuck? Like, I'm just gonna ask for consent." And one thing that truly helped me understand it, okay, especially after I became sexually active, was that if I'm on a date with a girl, okay, and we go back home, and the girl says, "Can I suck your cock, please?" Is that really going to turn me off? No, of course not. Of course it's not going to turn you off. That's insane. And I think like that is something that people could not comprehend at the time, like when they were asking for enthusiastic consent, because there is a fear of rejection, okay? But like if the moment is right and you ask openly for consent, they are not going to get turned off by it. That was like a legitimate fear that a lot of men had, okay? It's fear that I even had, but that was also because I was not sexually active. You know what I mean? So I didn't understand it. But of course, Put yourself in the shoes of the other person. Go back home and you ask for consent. You go back home and they ask for consent. They're gonna you're gonna be very excited at the prospect. Okay? That's it. Fear of making it weird, I think, is real, though. Certainly, but again, if the moment is right, like asking for consent is never going to be. I have, in all of my experiences, I've never had an instance where I asked for consent and someone said, "Ew, that's weird. Why would you ask for consent?" If anything, it's often seen as like unique. Okay? And like it's a more comforting environment for the other person when they recognize that like you care about what their perspective is, what you care about them feeling safe in that moment, which of course makes it probably, even when you think about it, it probably makes it easier for them to like that level of comfort and security makes it easier for them to enjoy the process more as well. So yeah, all of your fears about asking for consent oftentimes come from your internal struggle, like things that you've made up in your mind. You're going to think like, "Oh man, that's weird. It's going to be weird when I say this." That did happen to me. I asked a girl for her consent to kiss her, and the response was no because you asked. That's weird. So I just left. Okay, well then that person is fucking weird. How do you ask? I mean, can I kiss you? Is pretty basic. That's what you asked? That like how you asked for consent? I mean, maybe you haven't thought about it. Or is this okay? I hope you're comfortable. You know what I mean? It's not weird to ask. Anything you don't want me to do, let me know, you know? Some of you literally think like you have to have a checklist where it's like, can I do a penile insertion? Can I do a penile insertion, please? Like, check. Like, it's not like that, dude. What the fuck? It's weird to think that this sort of thinking and behavior is considered based. Yeah, it is weird. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, this is a foreign concept. So this kind of attitude is, you know. Kızlar beyefendi erkekten hoşlanmaz. Oğlum salak salak konuşma amına koyayım. Yani senin hayatında görmeyeceğin kadar görmeyeceğin kadar experience'ın var yani. Ömrüm boyunca izlediğim pornoların hepsini toplasan da ondan daha fazla experience'ın var. Sana anlatıyorum bunu. Sen gelmiş burada salak salak 31'ci pezevenk konuşuyorsun sanki bir bok biliyormuşsun gibi. Siktir lan. Yarrağımın anteni. Anyway, so where the fuck was I? Yeah, anyway, these are important rules to understand. I hope people
have their lives and careers ruined because they couldn't keep from being pervs And I'm sick of seeing young women who are being traumatized because they're being coerced into doing things they don't want to do. What the fuck is going on, dude? Somebody's got to figure this shit out. Ugh. But it's not, shit is changed. It's different now. You can't go out there and just fuck everybody. I think men need to realize, like, what a powerful thing sex can be. Like, you have to respect the power and the emotional connection that happens there, and how violated somebody can feel who like offered you up their body in that sense, only to be kind of like discarded or used or to regret it. There needs to be some understanding of that. And I'm not being a prude, right? Like, I'm cool with casual sex. I'm not like a puritanical. I don't think people need to get married or anything. I mean, fuck on the first date. I don't care. I'm just saying there's a specific issue with famous men. Because there's a magnetic pole that you need to be accountable for and that you need to treat with a special care.
Yeah, don't fuck
And it's a way,
fans.
in a way,
That's a good
maybe
way
this
to
isn't a
start,
good analogy, but
for
like,
sure.
if you're a trained martial artist, world champion, you know what I mean? Like 3-time black belt, you know how to kill a man with one punch. If you get into a bar fight, you cannot unleash your full fury, because if you go like and go for like a neck throat punch and they end up dying, guess what? You're going to fucking jail. Whereas if it was someone who was untrained, you could, you know, go crazy. You're not going to kill the guy, right? You can fight with all your passion. You don't have to worry about holding back. But if you have the potential to kill someone, you know how to do it, and you can do it easily.
He said it. These rules only apply to rich, famous people. These regular viewers do not need to ask for consent verbally, and it can be agreed upon. Jews trying to steal our body language induced sex. Huh? Hasan is too woke. What do you say to them? Body language is no longer required? Motherfucker, you should probably stay the fuck away from the women in general, just people in general. Holy fuck, dude. You good? Bro, that's crazy. Like, I'm not even saying that, like, obviously you have to fucking ask for consent every single step of the way, like a fucking checklist, okay? Like, certain things you can comprehend, okay? But if you can't, you definitely should ask. You, on the other hand, should be, you know, probably institutionalized. Holy fuck, dude. Jews trying to steal our body language, induce sex. He said it. These rules only apply to rich, famous people. The regular viewers do not need to ask for consent verbally. That's an insane fucking thing. Like, I'm over here explaining how you need to be a fucking decent human being, and motherfuckers are like, nah, fuck that, dude. You fucking piece of shit. You're a pussy. You're too woke. Okay. Like I said, if you don't give a fuck about, like, the impact that you have on women, have fun with fucking rape allegations, okay? You know what I mean? What the fuck? I mean, I'm banning them for anti-Semitism, obviously, but, like, Jesus Christ, dude. He's saying that famous people feel too entitled, not that it doesn't fucking apply. What? No, he said regular viewers do not need to ask for consent verbally. And he also said Jews are trying, Ethan, as a Jewish person, is trying to steal our body language, induce sex. You don't have to defend everyone, you dumb fuck, in the chat.
You don't do it, right? And that's common knowledge of people who are highly trained martial artists. They know that. And in a way, again, I don't know if this is a stupid analogy, but it's kind of the same thing, right? If you're famous and powerful and you go out.
I think some chatters just don't comprehend and process what you say, and they just watch with hate. Yes. A lot of people have preconceived notions of what I'm saying because they've already put me in this like narrowly defined box. I am a woke lord. I am a soy facing SJW or whatever the fuck. So they're not arguing against me or the positions that I'm presenting to them. They're arguing against positions that they think I have. Okay? And this also happens with leftists that watch me as well. Leftists come in here and literally automatically make assumptions about what my perspective is. They may have seen like someone fucking lie and say, oh, Hasan went to a brothel that was raided for sex trafficking, even though the fucking brothel was raided for tax evasion. So they already have this like assessment, right? Where they perhaps assume that I don't think that there is any sort of thing such as sex trafficking or whatever. So they come in and they go crazy. Okay? But they're not listening to what I'm saying. They're just listening to, literally, they're listening to fucking the expectation.
You have this edge. You have this magnetism. You know, people are going to be more pulled to you, especially fans of yours. And so in the same way, you got to be careful with what you've got there. Does that make sense? What do y'all think? Is it crazy? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't fucking know. What I do know is this is one shot, one take. I'm going to upload it to my channel. And if y'all got a problem with it.
Anyway. No one is like saying that you can't infer consent, okay? Or body language is like meaningless in this conversation. Of course it's meaningful, okay? It's done. The video's done. It's done. It's over. Logan Paul came out with a response to CopyZilla, by the way. We're going to be looking at that later. Anyway, but there are certain places that you should never go to. Like, you know, don't shit where you eat, okay? Do not try to fuck your coworkers. There's always going to be boundaries. Like, just don't do it. It's not good. It's not good. Not good at all. You know? Don't flirt with in the workplace in general, but especially don't flirt in the workplace with someone who is like a subordinate, okay? Holy shit. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not good. Not good. Not good. Don't dip your pen in the company ink. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy, but have you never flirted with a coworker or a fan? Seems like a hard rule. No, don't do it. I don't think